superhero games
Squad.
are great now. They just are. There's no excuse for a bad superhero game anymore. The Arkham games redefined what it meant to play a hero in a video game. I think everyone can agree with that. Arkham Asylum is revolutionary in that regard alone. On top of Arkham City, which is one of my favorite all-time games. The Spider-Man game of 2018 gave us a game where the story truly served the hero and propelled him farther in his career, rather than just have a situation that warranted a game experience. Like, for example, Arkham City. Like, we're going to throw all these villains into this super prison, and that's a great premise for a game, so let's just make that happen. But it felt, Spider-Man felt much more cinematic, rightfully so in that regard. And I'd even have to give credit to the Lego games for giving us strong examples of what you can do with a bunch of characters and Easter eggs all in one place. All of these games are made with love now, and I think that's absolutely wonderful. And Avengers is no different. We first got teased with this back in 2017, and seeing Square Enix's involvement, it immediately said that this was something that you didn't want to mess with. You wanted to know exactly what was happening with this project at all times, even though they basically gave us nothing for like 2 solid years. Like, it exists, but that's it. What Crystal Dynamics, the main developer for the game, what they added to the pristine superhero game world, as I have just mentioned before, was the first real multiplayer experience. Not just similar characters like the Arkham games, where you could play as Robin, Nightwing, and Batgirl, and they all kind of played similarly to Batman, with some differences, of course. But each character is very distinct and has a specific playstyle all to their own. Hulk and Black Widow don't play the same, as they shouldn't. It's the next evolution for superhero games, in my opinion, and certainly Suicide Squad is going to continue this formula in a couple years when it drops, because you're going to have all those different kinds of characters to play as. Harley Quinn is going to play vastly different than King Shark, I would imagine. I'm not going to exactly address the specific multiplayer content in this review, simply because I don't play with friends that often, so I haven't really touched on it yet. We will be later on in the show. I like more private gaming experiences, solo stories, one-on-one stuff. It's my chance to cool down and relax when I'm playing a video game. So I mostly want to focus on the story here. And I will do my absolute best to avoid any spoiler talk, since it's only been out for a week, and I understand if people still want to see if it's worth the $60 investment. It's not like a movie where tickets are $12. You can throw it away, and if the movie's great, awesome. If not, oh well, it's not the total end of the world. But getting a video game is an investment nowadays. You're investing in it being good and worthwhile to play again and again after the first initial playthrough. So I'm saying this all, but I also would rather look at the script instead, just because I really like the performances in this game. And certainly what a cast to behold. I mean, you have Nolan North, Troy Baker, Laura Bailey, Jennifer Hale, Travis Willingham. It's an all-star voice cast for gaming. So for something like the Avengers, it feels really epic to have so many unique talents in one.
Wait, is it Nolan North Day?
No, it's not Nolan North Day yet. We'll have a Nolan North Day, I promise. We'll do it for Tom. Sorry, just going back through my list of things. Oh, yeah, so what's really cool about this game is it feels like you're playing a movie, a superhero MCU-level movie. Its cutscenes are deep with character moments, and certainly Arkham had some here and there, and Spider-Man went deeper with Peter Parker than the Arkham games, in my opinion, but I think this is the next step in telling great stories for superheroes in video games. And I love it. Real and raw emotions that lend to truly strong performances by these great voice actors. I'm invested from the jump as soon as you're playing as Kamala Khan. And that whole... This isn't so much a spoiler because we've done it on the stream, but that whole, like, A-Day segment at the very beginning of the game, like, we're just invested in the world and the detail, and we're just as excited to be partaking in this, like, exhibition display of the Avengers as much as she is. Like, I was already invested from the jump. I love that they brought a more serious MODOK to the mainstream fold, and I'm not sure if this interpretation has been displayed in the main comic book continuity before, But at the end of the day, movies, TV, and video games will always be more important for sales than actual comic books. It's just a fact. It was great to see MODOK with serious pain and anguish in this story. I do wish we had more comic book villains in the main campaign overall. I mean, you can't use the Spider-Man gallery because it's its own game franchise, and at the time that this game had started, they didn't have access to the X-Men and the Fantastic Four family, so by that point, just go with what you're already developing. And I understand that, got no problem with that. You have an embargo, that doesn't lift until the Disney Fox deal closes. I totally get that, no problem. But I think we can use more villains in the main story than just Taskmaster, Abomination, and MODOK. It's an Avengers game. Surely we could have pulled a villain from any one of the 23 MCU films out there to use as part of the main story. I think a hero is only as great as their villain. And while this team definitely shines bright, for sure, there's a lot of great moments for the characters to all develop with each other, I do think the story could have benefited from a villain that destroys more of the morale of the team. I think MODOK does kind of do that, but I just don't think it's quite enough for me. Maybe I'm being a little picky because I like my crossover elements, but tomato, tomato. I think you could have used Ultron, you could have used Baron Zemo, Ironmonger. I think they all would have loved to have taken a swing at the Avengers team. So I think there were options to use, aside from just focusing on really one supervillain alone. Anyway, this game is absolutely the quintessential experience for playing an Iron Man game. It's the quintessential experience for playing a Hulk game, as well as a Thor, Captain America, and a Black Widow game. I doubt Inhumans will have its own video game for a long time, but I have to think that this is the best Kamala Khan game experience you're going to have for a while. I'm excited to see the DLC released for this. They just announced that Kate Bishop, protege of Clint Barton, aka Hawkeye, she will be the first DLC character released for this, I believe, and she's going to have her own unique playstyle, and I know that Clint Barton is going to be a release character as well. But as Trevor Norrington has kindly let me know, they're going to play very differently, that no character in this game is going to basically be a remold of the game. I'm pretty sure I heard that Black Panther is going to be a developed character for this game, which I think is pretty appropriate. I've also heard rumors that She-Hulk is on the table, and I think she would have to play differently than the Hulk. I've also heard...
That's a strong table.
Enough said. And definitely, I heard that War Machine is also going to be in this, but I don't think he'll be a copy of Iron Man as well, because he has his own like gunplay and everything. So it makes sense that all of these characters would play differently, and I think that's wonderful. So this game will definitely last a long time for content. So if you wish to wait for a sale on the game, I think the hype will still be there for this. So if you want to wait for maybe like, $20 off or whatever, there's still going to be plenty of game to play with all your friends. We're not going to stop playing this for a while. And they're looking to release content for this, I would say, for at least the next year and a half, at the bare minimum. I do think it's a worthwhile experience at its base price currently, but if you want to support a studio who delivered a solid product now, so that they can continue to put money into this game, as well as use it for, hopefully, a sequel, which I couldn't imagine them not having at this point, I would definitely recommend this game. Overall in the story, I would put it at an 8 out of 10. That's not reflective of the overall game experience for me, because I haven't done the multiplayer in depth, but yeah, that's where I'm currently at.